Hi YouTube. So today's video is kind of a tough topic, but I'm here to just share my story for anyone who may have been through a similar situation or has lost someone they love. I feel like it's just helpful to hear other people's experiences and how they got through. So yeah, let's just get into it. So on January 28th, 2022, I got a phone call around probably like 1 to 2 in the morning from my uncle, just saying that my dad had been rushed to the hospital and they thought that he was having an anxiety attack. And so I tried to go back to sleep and just kind of prayed that everything was okay. I texted my dad like, hey, let me know everything's okay when you can. And sadly, I never got a response to that text. So around 7 o'clock that morning, I did get a call, just letting me know that my dad was no longer with us. So it just came very unexpectedly. My dad had been sick, just with like a cold and some chest pains or congestion, what he thought was COVID, during that week. So this was on a Friday. I think I heard from him like Tuesday, just saying he was under the weather, but I've been texting him throughout the week, just, checking in. And so it really was very sudden and very upsetting, as you can imagine, to learn that he had passed away. Ultimately, they determined that it was a pulmonary embolism that ended up basically, taking his life. So, that was probably the hardest phone call I've ever got, hands down. And, ever since then, it's just been a journey, really, with learning to grieve and learning to live without my dad, who I consider to be my best friend. We would talk on the phone for hours. We only lived like an hour and a half max away from each other. So him no longer being with me was a very unsettling feeling, especially because of, my family dynamics. My dad was the closest family member that I had, aside from my siblings. I felt like I've always been closer to my dad than I was to my mom. Just emotionally, I felt comforted with him, and he just had a heart of gold. He was just the kindest gentleman and always trying to make you laugh. So you can just imagine the hole that left in my heart and my family's heart. So, but this video isn't all about how he passed away. I do want to share how I have dealt and coped with the hardest time of my life. And I'm going to start with therapy. So I basically had been talking to my dad, ironically, about going to therapy before he passed away, just due to life, wanting some help with some difficult relationship dynamics in my life, specifically with my mother. I think just ever since I've been a teenager or moved out of my house, we kind of have had an interesting relationship. I won't say tumultuous, but just interesting. So I knew I wanted to start taking therapy just to deal with some of those feelings. But when my dad passed away, it became undoubtedly clear to me that I did need to get into therapy. So about a month after he passed away, actually less than a month, we were scheduled to get married on February 22nd, 2022. So definitely came at a time where I was expecting my dad to be there, to walk me down the aisle and just be a part of that memory. So many emotions. And that's the other thing, that you don't know what to expect when something like this happens. So navigating something unexpected, something that's emotionally just very heavy, can be daunting, And I only had about, I'd say like a week off of work after he passed away, just really dealing with his funeral process and, getting everything together, spending a little bit of time with family. So, I mean, my world was just flipped upside down. So, yeah, I started therapy. I think it really helped me at first to just have a safe space to talk about him, talk about how I felt, and how I was, going to live without him. I think I was just very afraid of how I was going to just move on with my life. Like, it just feels like, wait, I'm supposed to just keep going after this, So, um, therapy definitely helped for me to feel more comfortable expressing how I felt, and also giving me some helpful coping tips, just like self-care, which I tend to do on my own anyway, just like taking baths, journaling. But I really had to dive deep into that because I started to get really, really stressed. In about June of that year, I finally decided that I needed to take a month off of work. And because I just started my job in January, I wasn't able to get paid leave. So I took a month without pay at my job just to kind of give myself some time to figure out how the heck I felt. So I'd say if that's something that you can do, if your family has the resources to be able to allow you to take off work and take time to process, I highly recommend it. Because if you just keep going when something detrimental or very, life-changing happens, it can have really bad effects on you in the future if you just keep going like nothing's happening, because your body will start to give you signs of stress. For me, I just felt really heavy, but also like inflamed in my body. And so I did seek professional help. I went to a functional medicine doctor that summer as well, because I felt like, my dad unexpectedly passed away, and I wanted to also just make sure that I was putting my health as a priority. So that's another thing that I recommend when you're going through a hard time, is prioritizing your health. And that means mental, spiritual, and physical. So mental health wise, getting a therapist. Spiritually, if you are someone who has a relationship with God, finding ways to get closer with him, because you're going to need him. You're going to need some spiritual support, whether that is through praying, meditation, using affirmations. I just really had to get real with the fact that I needed support. I did start going to church more in my hometown, my wife's family church. I did start doing way more meditation and breath work because I knew that my body needed it, because I was definitely in a state of stress and honestly just shock. And along with that, I also started moving my body way more, so that helped my physical health. I work from home, so a lot of sitting at a desk and not moving my body as much, but I made a commitment to start moving my body, going on walks, getting outside more. Really, really helped my not only physical health but mental health. I was able to lose weight, reduce that inflammation with the help of the functional medicine doctor, and just overall start to feel better, because you can definitely start to fall into depression and feel like the grief is taking over your life, because it hits you in the most unexpected times, listening to songs, mowing the grass. I honestly remember listening to a song that I knew my dad liked while I was cutting grass, and tears started flowing down my face because I missed him so much. Like, it's essential to be able to let yourself feel those feelings, but also just have ways to cope if that's something you're not comfortable with, especially if it happens in public. You may have to excuse yourself or call a friend, because that leads me to the next thing that I really had to lean on during the hardest time of my life, and that was my support system. So number one being my wife. She also got into therapy after my father's passing, because she was not familiar with grief, and she wanted to be able to support me but also give herself an avenue for grieving, because she didn't want to put the weight of her grief on me, and she just wanted to make sure that she was able to support me in every way possible, right? So we definitely spent a lot of time just talking about my dad, celebrating his memory, and laughing about the times that we spent with him. So that was helpful. And then I also have cousins who, my first cousins, we grew up together as kids, as babies. So we started a group chat shortly after my dad passed away, where we would just check in with each other. And, my siblings, my automatic best friends, were really, really there for me as well during this grieving process, and have been ever since. Like, our relationship has gotten so much closer through this process, and I feel like that's the best gift from my dad. It's just that we have each other because we grew up together, and had those memories that we shared with him. And now we get to journey through life together and honor his memory. And I'm not going to say that that's been easy, because we each have different processes for grieving. My sister was only 17 when my dad passed away. It was about 5 days, I'd say, maybe a week before her 18th birthday. So she was just at a different stage of life, whereas me, I think I was 26, and just a newlywed or about to be a newlywed. And then my brother was actually in Colorado at the time, so miles and miles away from family. And as you can imagine, it was definitely a big transition for him to come back home and just try to figure out his life without our dad. So I'd say, prioritizing your mental health and having a support system are really the keys to dealing with any difficult process, And I just want to encourage you not to give up, because a lot of times when life happens, we're unprepared, right? And that can ultimately be a detriment, of course, but also a determining factor in the course of our life, because when these things happen, we have a choice. I'd like to say we have a choice to either let it take us into a really dark and deep place, and sometimes there's no return, and so every day you have to wake up and make the decision to pick yourself up and not stop, not let the incredibly difficult emotions take over. And so that's why prioritizing, a therapist, or prioritizing even if it's medication for you, it's important, because you do have to continue going your life. And I know that's, if you're dealing with someone who's passed away, that's the only thing they want for you, is to continue to live your life, enjoy your life, and not stop just because they're no longer here. So spiritually, I think that experiencing a death of a close loved one helped me to understand and just really become closer to God, but understand the beauty of life, and that, we say that life is short, but we don't really know how short it is until someone that we love is no longer here with us. And so I really, it changed my perspective on a lot of things, even with my career and just what I do on a daily to make me happy. I just want to be able to say that I lived my life to the fullest, and it makes you make different decisions in life, showing up different for myself, so that I can say that, yeah, I'm fully here, I'm fully enjoying this experience of being alive, so that when I'm no longer here, I know that I gave it my all, at least, and that I was the best person that I could be, and I didn't let hard circumstances or hard times really just take me out of character, or put me in a place where there is no return, when I just kind of stop living and enjoying life. That's the other thing that I feel like is important too when you're going through a hard time, is just to remember that you do deserve to enjoy life, because when you're grieving, it feels like, wait, I feel like I am leaving something behind or someone behind, or forgetting about the person that I loved who passed away, but that's not the case. You know, you do have to keep moving even though they're no longer here, and it is in their honor. So I just wanted to come on here and give a little encouragement, share a little bit of my story, and hopefully help someone who is grieving. Just remember that, prioritizing yourself is important in this time, and calling on your support system. Don't be afraid to ask for help, because that's the other thing. People are going to forget, and you can't be afraid to speak up for yourself. And if you do feel like you're getting into a deep, dark place, you're going to need to turn inward, but you're also going to need to reach out for help, because sometimes people don't know exactly how you're feeling if you're not able to verbalize it. Even if it's a text, just saying like, hey, I'm not doing well. That's prioritizing yourself, because we do need people. As much as we think we can go through things by ourselves, we need people, and God will bless us with exactly who we need in our lives at the time. But sometimes it does require you to speak up and ask for help. So I encourage you to do that. I'm going to put some more resources down in the comments for you for if you are going through a hard time. And I just appreciate you guys watching this video. I do want to also say that we're currently raising funds for our probate lawyer, guys, because the other thing that people don't talk about is when someone dies without a will, the handling of their estate goes to their family members, and that can be a really difficult process to navigate, especially if you have difficult relationship dynamics within your family. So just protect yourself, protect your loved ones, make sure you have a will. And I think that's really important, because what we're going through right now, we're actually dealing with probate to settle my father's estate, and it hasn't gone as planned. There's been some unexpected events, and it has become costly. And so right now we're raising funds via GoFundMe to be able to pay for a probate lawyer, to make sure that we are salvaging the last of my father's estate, and that his wishes are being honored, to support his entire family, which includes his kids. So I really would appreciate if you guys would go to that link. I'm going to have it in the description box, and if you feel called to donate, we greatly appreciate it. And even if you don't feel called to donate, you can still share, or just send your positive thoughts and prayers, because this is an ongoing process of grieving. It's a lifelong journey after someone passes away, of learning how to live life without them. So I'm sending love to anyone who is dealing with a similar experience, a similar circumstance. This month I'm also starting 30 days of going live to do some energy readings. So this is also a part of me stepping into my purpose, because I want to feel fulfilled in life and know that I'm living it to the fullest. So I want to make sure that I'm using my spiritual gifts as an intuitive healer, as a holistic health coach, as an author, as someone who helps others to transform those dark times. I am excited to be going live to share that support through donation-based readings. So you can check that out on my TikTok. That is wellness.withkells on Instagram and TikTok. So again, thanks for tuning into this video, you guys. Make sure you subscribe and like this video. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments, or if there's anything else you want to talk about as far as dealing with difficult circumstances in life. I feel like I've had plenty of those, and I could give a lot of advice on how to deal with it. So definitely comment below and let me know what you guys want to hear. And yeah, I will catch you guys on the next one. Peace. Audio Jungle.